Now, Lon, when it comes to the three players that Brian Kelly selected to attend Media Day, so understand for anybody out there that's not real familiar with the Media Days approach regiment, there, it's a statement to be made by the coach and by the program in terms of what players are selected. So it's not necessarily the three best players on the team. It's there's a certain thought to giving, obviously, some attention to the offense and the defense. So you want a balance of 2-1 or 1-2 for one thing, because you want representatives from both sides of the ball. And then the other thing is to take into consideration, leadership, who are doing the right things in the program, not just who are the best players. So in regards to who showed up for LSU and who was selected by Brian Kelly, do you have any insight into that? How do you feel about those selections and how they performed?
Absolutely, Mark. You just said it. Leadership. And, that's why someone like Jack Bech, who's only the third ever sophomore in LSU history, was selected to represent at Media Days. Not only is he more mature than a lot of his peers, but he also shows a lot of locker room leadership. And you saw a common thread that I could find from Jack Bech, sophomore, and then the junior defenders, Mike Jones Jr. at linebacker and BJ Ojulari at defensive end, was that they all seem to be SWAT leaders, this accountability team that Brian Kelly has formed, kind of the players policing themselves in a way. And I feel like, that was kind of the thread. The guys who led the locker room and really could represent the program in the best way, because he chose some guys who had, all three of these guys played for Orgeron. They were there for the transition into Brian Kelly. And so they kind of understood they were going to get the questions, about Orgeron and what happened. And, it surprisingly I didn't hear too many, intense ones that they had to take, but anyone that came their way, they handled beautifully. Jack Bech was able to just say, "Hey, I respect Coach Ed Orgeron. Without him, I didn't have a chance here." And then moved on and said, "Kelly is an absolute chess master," and basically was saying how he's using strategy and all sorts of stuff to get LSU where they're going. But Mike Jones Jr. looked great with the mic. Mike Jones Jr. looked great on the mic. Mike Jones, he was fantastic. He looked like he just was ready to hug everybody in the room. Like, I'm so glad to be here. Someone who didn't take a moment of that privilege for granted. And I think he's going to have a hell of a year. Even Greg Sankey stopped him in the hallway. I heard from one of these LSU local reporters saying that Sankey stopped him and said, "Hey, how's it going? How's the transfer from Clemson? How's it been at LSU?" And there was a lot of, comparing Clemson to LSU, and it seemed like Mike Jones Jr. more than satisfied with, his time at Clemson, but this is really something that could propel him. And BJ Ojulari, this was a special time, Mark, because, this is him returning to Georgia, his home state. And, with a brother in the NFL, Aziz doing well with the Giants, and, his Nigerian heritage being on display, being showcased and being talked about, being asked about. People really got to know BJ Ojulari, the person, a lot more, I think, for the first time. And I was really happy to see that. We've tried to show that in our pieces and interviews, but even though we've interviewed him a handful of times, Ojulari, he's a very private dude. And so getting the personality out of him was really cool to see from the SEC Media Days, although they stuck to the script a lot of the time, Mark, to be honest.